Hello, I'm finally live. I'm really sorry, couldn't get on again. I'm learning the hang of doing the Insta lives for psychologies. Welcome to Writing to Flourish. I can see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got your pens and paper. How you doing today? What's the weather like in your part of the world? It is a kind of dull day today, actually, here in London. Hi Anne, how Cloudy Lemonade, how Elfie Brownie, Catty Ling. Hi Georgina, so good to have you here. Hello Linda, hello Archie Josie, hello Cesar's Bab. Hi Be Alive, welcome, welcome, welcome to Writing to get my tongue in my mouth. Writing to Flourish with Jackee Holder on behalf of Psychologies magazine. Welcome to Writing to Flourish Live. Hello from Greece. I love Greece. Haven't been there for a long time. I used to run a writing retreat in Greece for about 4 or 5 years. Up on that Mount Pelion. I loved it. Welcome. Hello Mandy. Hello Adele. Oh, Archie Josie, it's wet where you are. What? Linda, welcome from South Africa. Rainy and cold in South Africa. God, I didn't know it got rainy and cold in South Africa. Hi, Het0105. Hi, Liana. Hi, Mandy. Mandy from Abu Dhabi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My daughter worked there for about 7 years, so I got to go there quite a few times. And I did a bit of work over there with the Bank of Abu Dhabi, ran a coaching program. So lovely to have you here. Welcome to Free Your Spine method. Welcome Suma. Welcome Eunice. Welcome Pocket Full of Calm from East London. All the Londoners are in the house. Hello, Be Alive. You're saying that you were born in Montreal in Canada, moved to Greece 2 months ago. Wow, what an adventure. I can't even move out of London. This is great, lovely. So, welcome to Writing to Flourish. I hope that, I imagine that you're all readers of Psychologies magazine, and just know that if you want to get the magazine delivered straight to your door, you can subscribe by going straight to the link, and you can get a subscription there and get it delivered straight to your door. So what are we going to be talking about today? What do I want to talk about today? There's a lot I want to talk about today. So this is where we're going to start. I've got a favourite quote. It came from Jeannie Wright. I'm sure I got it out of the book Writing Cures. It was a book that was recommended when I did my MA in Creative Writing and Personal Development, 2004 to 2006 at the University of Sussex down in Brighton. And I remember even then when I read that quote, I thought, yeah, that just about sums up writing for me and journal writing. And it goes something like this: writing, no matter how short, is like a meditation. And I can really relate to that. All the times in my life where I've had my journal out, normally first thing in the morning, around 5:30, 6 o'clock, when I stop and I open up my journal or my notebook and I start to write, for many, many years, that was my meditation. That was the most natural, simplest way that I could slow down, process my inner world, my internal landscape, and work out what the hell was going on in my head. Just before I came on Instagram, I'm sorry I didn't capture it. I need to go back and find that image. I saw an image that someone had posted. I wasn't sure if it was on the Psychologies quote or it came up on my home feed, but it showed a woman. And in one illustration, she had all this stuff going on in her head, and you saw all this sort of swirly lines, and it said before journaling. And then you had another image of her with hardly any lines going around the top of her head, which said after journaling. And I thought, I just caught that before I came onto the live. I thought, what a perfect illustration for what we want to talk about today. That often before journaling, I enter the space with just so much stuff in my head, a bit like my hair today. Got a lot of hair on my head. When I open up the page of the blank notebook or journal, it's like I'm literally taking the stuff that's running around in my head and I'm putting it down on the page so that I can literally see the wood for the trees. So of course, there's lots of different ways in which you might go about journaling. And this is what this Insta Live is all about. This is what my column in Psychologies magazine is all about. And you will also find every month in the magazine my paper therapy quote, which is a journal prompt. And I think I've been writing that since 2016. So you've got about 4 years worth of journal prompts there alone if you kind of go back into the back copies of Psychologies. So we've got plenty of prompts there to keep you going for a really, really, really long time. But I think for me, that's the number one thing about journal writing. Given that our days are so busy, given that we get distracted so easily, given that, I've been really tracking myself on this one, apparently we touch our phones 150 times a day. Now, I hope that's a day, because I hope it ain't something like an hour, because then it's going to add up to some mad figure. But just think about how much distraction there is in our lives. So how on earth do you make sense of everything that's going on around you? I was talking to some of my clients over the last few weeks, and so many of them are saying that they're just overwhelmed with emails. I have people getting really annoyed with me because I haven't responded to their emails in the timely fashion that they think that I should, not recognizing that actually I've got loads and loads and loads and loads of emails in my inbox and loads of things that I'm trying to do. So I know that journal writing is the way that I take some of the pressure off. It's like letting the pressure valve off of everything that you've stored up, not just inside your head, but inside your body, and laying it down on the page. So one of my clients said to me recently, they said, "Oh, Jackee, you know those prompts that we devised in our last coaching session? You know what, they've been really helpful during the last few weeks." And what we'd done was we were talking about how this particular client could get even more present in their day with themselves so that they could feel they really wanted to make better choices for themselves. Oh, thank you, Pregnancy Without Fear. You said that you recommend journal writing to expectant mothers. I want to say something about that, because journal writing when I was expecting my daughter 32 years ago was very, very pivotal. Anyway, back to my client. She said, I've been using the prompts that we devised in the session because she wanted to get present to herself. And she also wanted to ensure that she didn't get sort of carried away with feeling anxious and worried and overwhelmed. So we came up with these prompts. What is she feeling now? What is she noticing right now? What is she observing about how she is feeling, what she is thinking, and what she is doing? And what she did was she took those 3 prompts, and she was going to write at the beginning of the day, every day. But when she came back, she said to me, "I didn't actually do that, Jackee. But what I did do was every time I noticed myself get nervous or anxious, I actually got out my notebook and I took 2 or 3 of those prompts and I just wrote to them." And she said it made such a difference to how I responded, how I thought about what I was feeling anxious about, and it literally just changed my state. So going back to that original quote, writing, no matter how short, is like a meditation. That is what journal writing does. It helps you interrupt those patterns those thoughts that might be getting in the way of you being more resourceful, you being more insightful, you being more creative, you being less reactive. I made a joke, I think it was on the last session, or maybe it was on a podcast that I was talking on last week. I said that for every driver who sort of drives really fast behind me or tailgates me, or sort of like I'm walking down the road and I'm thinking, why are you driving so fast up the road? I think to myself in my little thoughts, I wish I could give you a journal. Because so often people haven't worked out, or they haven't set themselves the intention of where do I release stuff? Where do I lay down stuff? And that's the thing that is really, really good about journaling, is that when you can kind of get rid of your thoughts on the page, that's a really practical way of letting your thoughts go and kind of getting really clear about the stuff that needs your attention and the stuff that you want to focus on. Yeah. So we know that coming back to writing practice, no matter how short, is like a meditation. This is how it happens. Hi, Judith. Great to have you here. So many people joining. It's great to have you here. So if you don't mind, put that quote down somewhere in your journal. I think I've kind of changed what the original quote is. So it's something like, writing, no matter how short, is like a meditation, and use that to be your focus as a way of grounding and centering you when you kind of feel like you're getting a bit wobbly, when it feels like, oh, I don't have time. Just remember, it doesn't have to be long. I write for 5 minutes sometimes, I write for 7 minutes sometimes, I write for 10 minutes. But what's interesting about whenever I start to write, I always naturally want to write for longer. Think about it. It's a really great way of getting yourself on the page and ensuring that you stay on the page. Once you start writing, more often than not, you won't want to stop. And last week, I was walking out on my early morning walk, and I saw one of the street cleaners that's around here where I live, in this part of South London. And I stopped to speak to him, and I said to him, do you know what? I haven't seen the street cleaner on my road for quite a while. And he sort of looked quite taken aback by my comment. And he kind of leaned back, and then he looked at me and he said, I am the street cleaner for your street. I was like, oops. Oh dear. Okay. Anyway, once we got over that, we started talking about why do people drop so much rubbish and garbage on the streets? And we had a little chat about it. And then he told me what days he actually comes to our street. And lo and behold, I looked at on the day that he said, and our street was looking pristine. Absolutely pristine. It doesn't always look like that, by the way. What I realised was that was a great metaphor for what it's like when you get your journal out, you have your prompts, you start your writing, and you clean up your thoughts, and you get rid of the garbage which is in your mind, and then you make space for the stuff that you really want to pay attention to. So I love that's kind of metaphor, because when I saw the clean street, I sort of felt really calm and really clear. And that's what it's like for me when I go in my journal. It kind of makes sense of all the stuff that's going on. So that the comment that came up earlier about you advise pregnant women that you're working with to keep a journal, I think that it was in 1988 when I was pregnant with my daughter. I was in my late 20s. Don't try and work my age out. That I really committed. Oh, pregnancy without fear. Thank you so much. You're saying that even a sentence, it starts like that and then a paragraph. So I often say word by word, sentence by sentence, line by line, word by word, sentence by sentence, line by line. But I know that it was when I was pregnant with my lovely daughter Aida that I absolutely rooted my journal writing practice. I was a little bit sporadic leading up to being pregnant with Aida. But once I knew that I was having my daughter, it was almost like I just got this avalanche of, I'm going to sort my life out. I started nesting. I moved home. Let me just let someone in. Okay. I just got really, really clear about who I wanted to be and what I wanted in my life. And that's when I really think that I got into the real practice of journal writing. And then when my daughter was about 3 or 4, I think it was, my friend sent me a book through the post for my birthday called The Artist's Way. Well, it was one of those days where I probably shouldn't have been in bed, but I was. There was a lot going on. And when I went and got that book, brought it upstairs and opened it, I did my first set of morning pages from the brilliant Julia Cameron, which suggests that each morning you write down 3 pages of longhand, just all the thoughts that are in your head. You don't even censor them. That's what I loved about morning pages, because I was a new mum. I was a new full-time job. It was a really demanding job. I was running training programs. I was commissioning training programs. I was managing a huge budget in a local authority. And then I had this beautiful toddler on my hand and trying to make my way in the world. Trust me, I had a lot to write about. And so it was the practice of the morning pages that really got me into the habit of journal writing. And that has been my habit. It's followed me for, almost 30 years, to be honest. So I can highly recommend The Artist's Way. I think the book is now 30 years old. I actually happened to listen to Julia Cameron and Elizabeth Gilbert, 2 greats, being interviewed. And I will put the link in my show notes so that you can in the Insta live notes on my Insta feed, which is at Jackee, Jackee Hall on Instagram. I will put the link up there. Yeah, I love Pregnancy Without Fear. I love the tips that you're giving today. We get mothers and fathers to write a birth letter. Oh my gosh. That's so moving. A birth letter to their baby. That is beautiful. I love that. That's going into one of my psychology's paper therapy quotes. I love it. And somebody else was saying, where have I lost it? Somebody else was saying something really similar. Maps of Joy was saying, I'm not sure if you're saying, I wish I discovered Artist's Way earlier in my life. Hey, you discovered the Artist's Way now. It's never too late. You could be in your 20s, you could be in your 30s, you could be in your 60s, you could be in your 70s. Artist's Way, perfect whenever you're ready to start. Same with journal writing. Whatever age you are, the page will be happy to have you meet and greet it. Okay, so don't worry about age. Age is but a number. So what do we know? What do I want to say? I think I want to suggest to you that your journal pages welcomes the bad, the good, and the indifferent. Okay, it does not discriminate against whatever you're writing. Just think about the amount of places in our lives where we try and keep ourselves small, where we don't say what we're really feeling, where we don't speak up. Come on, Black Lives Matter, gender equality, disability equality, sexuality? Where do we quiet our voice? Where don't we really say what we're feeling? Yeah, the journal pages gives you absolutely permission to say and write about the good, the bad and the indifferent. So Vic, I love it that you've got the Artist's Way as a birthday present this Christmas, this summer. Great. And Fiona says, I haven't journaled in ages. Glad I joined this as I'm having a challenging time at the moment and really should get back to journaling again. You know what, Fiona? You know what I want to say to you? Don't make it a should. Just make it a, I'm just going to see what it's like to write a word on the page. And then maybe after you wrote a word, see if there's another word that you want to write. And after that, see if there's a sentence that you want to write about what it was like to write those 2 words. That might be all that you need to do for today. Then you can show up tomorrow. The blank page will be there. Be really happy to see you. And you do the same thing over and over again. I can tell you that there have been times in my life, as nonetheless me being a prolific writer and journal writer, well, actually, let me just go back. I'm a prolific journal writer. There have been times when my journal has not seen me for weeks. And it's also been difficult for me to get back on the wagon. And word by word, line by line, sentence by sentence, and then paragraph by paragraph, I found myself back in the groove. Yeah? And Fiona, lovely, you said what I should have said instead is it would really help me right now to get back to journaling. Look at that. Your wisdom's just coming through already. You know what you need to do. And that's the thing about when we give ourselves space. And that's what I love about this quote. Writing practice, no matter how short, is like a meditation. Because when we give ourselves this time, and this is what it's all about. There's the great Nancy Klein, who's a fabulous coach in a coaching community. She wrote a book called Time to Think. I've worked with Nancy. Well, I've commissioned her to present workshops as part of organisations that I used to work in. And she is as fantastic as her book is. You know, when you meet her, you feel the spirit and the soul of what she advocates in terms of taking and making time to think, and how important it is to make time to think. And for me, journal writing is like the back door to making time to think. Because for a lot of people, if we just think about, you know, just taking time out in our day to just sit down and think, we're already getting that really confused with all the thoughts that's running around in our heads. Whereas when you take your journal, you've got something really intentional. You've got a focus. You've got a landing point. You've got a landing place. Yeah. So that's why I think, you know, the journal is a really good way in terms of getting into your writing practice. So I want to finish off by talking about writing. Oh, I'm talking about writing. Sorry, walking. I posted this morning on my Insta about how important walking is to my writing. You see, the two are so synonymous with each other. I get them confused. It's very rare that if I'm in a writing groove, that I'm not also in a walking groove. I walk almost every single day. Now, it all started out in 1999 when I started running. Let's just put it this way. I hadn't run since I was at secondary school. I was always the one fastest in my class. My long legs just gave me an advantage. So I would hurdle down the 100 metres, win every race. It was just an ease and a breeze to me. Then I started playing netball after I went to university, and then I had a major injury. I got an injury through playing netball, and I sort of didn't really do much physical activity after that. So when I took up running, I thought, oh my God, not only did I enjoy it, but I started running really long distances. And that's a whole other story, which I'll tell you about another day. But the running over the years, that was in my 40s, has gradually graduated into walking. So what I do is, after I do my journal writing, I will often get up, get showered and go out for a walk. And I'll normally do that quite early in the morning, particularly if I've come back and start work 9:30. I like to get out and be back in the house by 8 o'clock. And this morning, I took myself on a silent walk, which was fabulous. I didn't listen to a podcast. I'm a podcast junkie. I cannot get enough of podcasts. But this morning, I decided to do a silent walk. Sometimes I do a silent walk, or I do a sound walk, or I do a colour walk. And I'll tell you about the sound and the colour walks in one of the future Insta Lives. But today I did a silent walk. And what I find brilliant about a silent walk is the fact that it clears your head. If you've got a headache, if you're overwhelmed, if you want to gain clarity, if you want to work something out, a silent walk is like bathing yourself in a meditation. So that's what I did. I walked around my local neighbourhood, and as I walked past the edge of South Norwood Lakes, which is around where I live in this part of South London, I heard the most amazing orchestra of what they call a murder of crows. The crows had taken over about 10 trees in the park, and they were making the most incredible sound. I stopped and I just stood there and I just drank it all in. Thing is, had I been listening to a podcast, I'd have missed all of that. And that's the thing where I see walking and writing really coincide. The more I walk, the more I observe, the more I see, the more I hear, the more I feel, the more I sense, the more I notice, the more becomes available to me. And this has an impact not just on the page, but off the page. So I found that when I came back in this morning, I filled like 3 to 4 pages of my journal with ideas that I got flooded with from my walk. And so I really want to encourage you to give yourself a bit of exercise. And it's almost like you can lubricate your journal writing by taking a walk. Whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's 15, whether it's 50 minutes like I did this morning, it will do wonders for freeing you up to be on the page. So I'm loving how you are sharing information. So Pregnancy Without Fear, you've shared so kindly that you can listen to your podcast. I am definitely going to listen to your podcast on Apple, Spotify and Anchor under Pregnancy Without Fear. I am going to be listening to you, and I would love to talk to you about journaling for women who are pregnant. That would be wonderful, and the pleasures of writing letters, and maybe we'll do an Insta Live on writing letters as well. Great. So Pocket Full of Calm, you said really needed to hear this today. My head has felt so foggy and tense lately. Listen, journals are open 24 hours. They're pretty cheap. You can just get a very inexpensive notebook. They don't cost you anything, and there are so many benefits to it. Fiona says, I'm a keen hiker and usually go up the mountains on my own and always silent. It's kind of like my way of meditating. That is your meditation. I realise that I am not good sitting like the Buddha. I'm not very good at keeping still like that. And so I have found my meditation. That's my superpower through walking. Fantastic. And Judith, I try to go mindful walking every day and always get flooded with ideas. See, don't just take it from me. It's in the chat. People are confirming it. They're verifying it. Walking, it's our superpower. Make it be your superpower. It's going to do so much for your creativity, for your writing, for your journaling, for enhancing your well-being, for reducing hypertension, for improving your immune system, for alleviating stress. So many benefits. And what's interesting, it correlates to writing as well. Okay, so where are we going to finish off with today? Some of the writers who are more famous. I didn't have time to gather all my, I've got some index cards in my office where I write down every time a writer says that they walk, but I couldn't remember them all. But I know that Charles Dickens used to walk from central London, if you're a Londoner, over to South London to Peckham Rye. Quite a good little walk, yeah? Used to do that quite regularly. No wonder we got books like Great Expectations, because just imagine what he saw and experienced walking across central London into South London at that time, particularly given that South London was very wooded. We had the Great North Woods, so there must have been all kinds of manner of things happening on the roads as he walked. So that would have been a very, very, very interesting walk for Charles Dickens. I love the work of the African-American feminist Bell Hooks. And she talks a lot about growing up in the South in America. She talks a lot about the land. She talks about her parents and how her mother walked everywhere and saw that as the best mode of transport and a fantastic way of sorting out her head, gaining clarity, and how her people, she describes her people of being very, very close to the land. And I think that we really, our bodies really appreciate it when we move. Movement transforms things. And if you feel stuck, just taking a pen and moving your hand across a page is one way of unsticking. And certainly walking is another way that you can really help yourself get unstuck. And Bell Hooks, she walks a lot. And she, one of her books, I think it's Belonging, is a fantastic ode to walking and writing. She's just a fantastic writer. And in fact, I bought down one of her books because I thought I'm going to start recommending books because I've got so many books on writing and my other passion, which is nature and trees. But not a lot of people know this book, Remembered Rapture. It's her book on writing, and it is absolutely fabulous. If I was on a desert island, I would take Remembered Rapture with me because she gives you a real insight in what it meant to be a black woman growing up in the US and in her family of origin and what that was like. She talks about the importance of writing biographically, writing to confess. She's just got some great chapters here. Dancing with words. Every page is highlighted and asterisked in some way. Women who write too much. I can't recommend this book enough. And the other book I want to recommend before we begin to wrap up today's Insta Live, and I leave you with a couple of quotes, is Soul Between the Lines by Dorothy Randall Gray. Absolutely exquisite book. It's called, the subtitle is Freeing Your Creative Spirit Through Writing. Ever so often I check Amazon just to check if she's written any more books, because this was just such a beautiful book. It's where I bring into my teaching, talking about when you write a narrative or you write a piece in your journal, how important it is sometimes to go back to it, because sometimes we haven't extracted the good stuff from the writing. And Dorothy Randall Gray is a person who gave me going back to extract the seeds which she describes as words that stand out in your writing, or the food for thought, which are themes or patterns or connections that you want to go back and do some more writing around, or do some more thinking about. Yeah, so that's Soul Between the Lines. Please, I hope they reprint this book. It's so good. I cannot tell you how good this book is. Well, I think it is anyway. And she's got some really, really, really juicy prompts in there. And Remembered Rapture by Bell Hooks. Yeah. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of prompts today. I realised, do you know sometimes you don't realise your body of work? I was looking for something yesterday and I happened to pull down a couple of psychology magazines from 2017. I thought, let me have a look at the paper therapy prompts there. And I looked at them and thought, oh my God, I've forgotten about these prompts. Of course, I've been writing them for over maybe nearly 4 years now. So I just keep sending them in. And obviously you don't remember all the different prompts. So I thought I'm going to start sharing these in the Insta Live. So here are some prompts for you to take away from today. The first one. One of the ways that I really can easily change my state in terms of just thinking about how I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling a bit low or lacking in energy, I can easily just write down some gratitudes, things that I appreciate. Now, I know that a lot of people talk about gratitudes, but I cannot say how important and significant writing down your gratitudes are, particularly at these times when we are in COVID-19, Black Lives Matter. You know, we are in we're in a serious economical downturn of the economy. So even though there are a lot of good things happening, there's a lot of stuff that's not great. And the practice of writing down your gratitudes, you just have to look at the research of people like Robert Emmons. Yeah, so there's so much research around the benefits of writing down your gratitudes. So my thing is, we know a lot of things, but we don't always do something about it. And that was something I was going to mention right at the beginning of today's Insta Live, is that sometimes we play with shelf therapy, not self-therapy. We know a lot of stuff, but we don't always do it. So here's the first prompt that I want to leave you with. And it came out of one of the paper therapy prompts that have been published in Psychology's magazine. Research has showed that when women write down 3 good things that happened in their day, their productivity improved. So this was some research that was done in the Journal of Management Studies, and also some research that was done by Professor Theresa Gloom. What I've added to this is from the other research that I found, is that not only is it good to write down 3 good things that happened in your day. So for example, for me, it might be writing about the fact that I managed to get out this morning and do a walk, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I enjoyed doing my Insta Live walking through Grangewood Park. But it's really important to also write down what were the qualities and what were the skills and what made it a good thing. So you don't just have what the thing was, but why was it good? Why did it feel good? And you give yourself an example of how you put it into practice. What they found is that by doing that, your gratitude is no longer insignificant or inconsequential. You have greater connection to it and greater meaning of its purpose. And this has been shown to improve self-confidence and self-efficacy, how we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves. Yeah. So that's the writing down. So anyone who's just joined and they're having difficulty of not knowing where to start in their journal or what to write in their journal, just a simple thing of writing down 3 good things that you appreciate or you are grateful for can have significant benefits to your self-confidence, your self-efficacy, and how you feel about yourself. And it really does change your state of mind, the quality of your mind or your mindset. So that's journal prompt number 1 to take away from today. And then the second one, and I'm going to hopefully, I'm going to start bringing people onto my Insta Lives. I've got so many people I want to talk to about their journaling, and I want to invite them to come on and share some of their journal prompts as well. And she doesn't know this yet, but somebody that I really, really admire and is just such an exquisite human being. Her name is Karen Fletcher Prentice, and she wrote a book on nature journaling. And it's absolutely brilliant. Actually, I didn't bring it down, but I'm going to bring it down. I'll bring it and share it next time. She has, her book is just full of fantastic nature prompts and exercises and just lots of examples of work that she's done with her clients around nature and the seasons. And we share that love of nature and the seasons, and obviously my love of trees. We share so much of that in common with so many other people as well. But I know that Karen is the originator of the sort of writing around the seasons, and she does a fantastic job of introducing the 4 seasons. Oh my God, I'm going to put this QB, Alison, I'm going to put the name of Karen's book on my Insta feed, so please follow me over at Jackee, JACKEEHOL, and I will definitely put it in the feed there. I'm sure it's called Nature Journaling. I just totally don't want to get it wrong, but I will definitely be sharing it with people. But this is a sort of a hybrid of the sort of the more in-depth work that Karen so beautifully does around the 4 seasons. In fact, she talks about the 5 seasons, and she also has some wonderful nature cards some season cards that go with that as well. This prompt is I call it a leaf out of nature's book. The invitation is to write about the season of life you are in right now. What season of life are you in right now? Are you in the autumn of your life? Does it feel like the winter where you just want to go within, get quiet, get still? Are you in the summer of your life where you've just got loads of energy? There's so much you want to share. There's so much you want to give. What season of life are you in right now? Are you in between seasons? We can think of our lives and compare and contrast it to the seasons. We can also think about our lives as a metaphor for the trees. Many of the trees are now losing their leaves. My local park is strewn with acorns. The invitation is to think about, by Pocket of Calm, the invitation to finish off today's Insta Live is to explore what can you learn from the trees as they move through the seasons. How could their changes guide your journey and your progress? What could you learn from what could you learn from the trees as they move through the seasons? How could their changes guide your journey and progress? So there we are. Today's Insta Live. I'm back 2nd of November. Who knows? Who knows who's going to be here with me? We will share with you what the theme is for the next Insta Live. I have a feeling it's going to be about nature. Hopefully we can get Karen on. If we don't get Karen on, we'll have somebody else on. But they'll all be good. I'm looking forward to sharing more with you. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget, if you want to get a copy of Psychology's magazine delivered straight to your door, please go to the link in there on the Psychology's magazine feed, and you can get copies or subscribe. Sign up to the magazine today. Fantastic having you all here. I hope you spend some time in your journals, you get some quality time with yourself. I hope you get those trainers out, those walking boots out, you get out walking, you bring the walking and writing together, and you join me next month, Monday the 2nd of November, when we will be writing to Flourish, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye, Georgina. Bye, Fiona. Bye, Maps of Joy. Bye, Judith. Glad that there's lots to think about. Thank you so much, Auntie Josie. Thank you. Bye.